All right, good morning, good morning. This is a live stream, but it's going to go recorded in case anybody misses it. And today's topic is making a window for her. And a lot of dudes don't really understand what this means, what it means to create a window for her. And last night, I hosted a free texting seminar. It was on Zoom, and we had a number of dudes in there, and one of my students was in there as well. And it was really good having him there because it was almost, it's because in this space a lot of people they have a lot of doubt, right? So they say all the stuff that you're saying, and they look at coaches and dating guys and so on and so forth, and they say, well, what you're saying sounds great in theory, it doesn't make any sense, this doesn't work, this is bullshit, you're capping, or whatever. And so it was really great having one of my students there who was able to attest to the fact that what I'm talking about actually is reality. All right. This, I don't know why this is saying that. Well, my resolution is not good, but whatever. Anyways, so the thing is that when guys are talking to women and they're trying to get a conversation going, they really stick too much on the surface of things. They're really that's why they're asking questions. They really don't know what to do, right? So they're looking. They come into this interaction with this stranger, right? And their hindbrain is just like, I would like to have sex with this person. I want to see her boobs or whatever. You know what I mean? And so what happens is they don't know really how to engage past that. They don't know. So they've got like, this is where my desires are. This is where I want to be. And then this is, where I want to go, or this is where I am. This is where I want to go. And they don't know how to create this bridge, this nice seamless bridge to express their desires. And so they fill in with this real surface level stuff, kind of like skipping a rock across the water, and just goes do 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 do. And and that's where they come in with these silly kind of silly questions. They're asking about where she grew up, what hobbies does she like, where she went on vacation. However, I do feel that I do feel that travel is a good topic to talk about, because that brings into stories of having experiences and shit like that. But for the most part, all these like boring interview questions that really lead nowhere. Okay. So for example, it's sort of a, what do they call them, like closed-ended questions, where you say, where did you go to school? Oh, I went to Pace University. Boom, it's done. How was that? It was good. What did you study? I studied marketing. Right? It really goes nowhere. It's like, oh well, how was that? And then they're asking questions about like how they feel and all these things, and it really doesn't go anywhere. Okay. Now, the other thing that I would recommend doing is is creating more of an emotional experience. Now, this is the funny part. When you hear women complaining about their partners, what's a thing that you hear them saying on a regular basis? They're saying, I would like to have more emotional connection or more emotional offerings from my guy. Right? They're saying that they want this sort of emotional engagement with their dude. And what guys don't understand, they take that and they misinterpret what she's saying, right? So what she's actually saying is, I need to feel more emotions. So typically what happens, the guy and the girl get together, they're biochemicals are up, their brain chemicals are up, they're having sex all the time, everything feels great, and they're having experiences together and so on and so forth. So there's these other stimuli taking the place of what the dude will hopefully be providing for her later on down the line. But typically guys, since they don't know what they're doing, they just kind of fall back into their old habits, and they just kind of relax, kick their feet up, and then just do whatever they want to do. And then there's a certain level of complacency that develops over time, and then the lady's like, oh, I'm not feeling it, and then she starts, looking at her other options, her orbiters or whatever, so. And then she goes off to that. The guy screams hypergamy, starts, taking handfuls of red pills every day to make himself feel better. And then it just has a whole downward spiral. What she's really asking is, I want more emotion. I want to experience more emotions. And that's what women absolutely love. They love experiencing different emotions, even the crazy ones. They want to feel crazy. They want to feel upset. They want to feel angry just as much as they want to feel joy and satisfaction and feeling confidence. They want to feel a whole wide range of emotions. And if you're just sitting around, just being your regular self, not providing any of this, when there's a stimuli coming from the outside, people call them like all these chads or whatever, and that sort of thing, they're gonna go towards that region, okay? And they always say that a woman will check out emotionally from a relationship before she checks out physically. And that's absolutely true, because ladies are responsive creatures, okay? So when I'm talking to these guys, and they're wondering, like, how do I create that? They misinterpret what to actually do, and they start sharing their feelings. They really misinterpreting what they're supposed to be doing. So when a woman says, I want to experience more emotional engagement from you, the guy misinterprets that and starts thinking, I'm going to start sharing my feelings about shit. She doesn't care. She really does not care how you feel about certain things. For the most part, I'd say like 95% of the time, your lady does not care about how you feel. Maybe your perspectives on things, sure, but not the way you feel about them, especially if they're feelings that she's not interested in feeling. And because what happens is, when you start doing that, when you start presenting your feelings, that then becomes a burden, because largely women aren't equipped to deal with that. They don't want to deal with that. They're not taught how to deal with that. It's not their job to be that emotional container for you, right? That's what your friends are for. That's what your brother is for. That's what your therapist is for, but not your woman. And so guys misinterpret this thing. She says, oh, I wish I could have more emotional situations, more emotional engagement from you. And the guy misinterprets that, starts sharing his feelings, and her attraction goes, and takes a nosedive. Because she's like, who the heck is this dude? This is not turning me on. So here's what you actually need to do. You need to provide emotional experiences for her. And you are the vehicle that opens the window. You, like the title says, making a window for her. So what you need to do is create experiences combined with talking to her in a certain way, such that it brings out certain emotional responses. That's why relationship game is the highest level of game. I would say, well, the highest level is marriage, right? When you get married, your game's got to be fucking rock solid. It's got to be so on point that you rarely make mistakes. Relationship game, it's a couple steps down, and then the complexity of the relationship, the solidity of the relationship, each level going up means the game has to get tighter. So you guys so a lot of guys, they just want these relationships, but their game sucks. It's not that they, and that's the problem. They want relationships. Why do they want relationships? You got to think about that. Like, if you're a dude and you're like, I want a girlfriend. Why do you want a girlfriend? Why? You really got to ask yourself that. And for the most part, it's because guys are lonely. They've got low self-esteem. They feel a certain missing thing inside them. And then they use women to supplement that feel-good feeling that they should be able to provide for themselves. And so they're really just using a woman like a drug, right? Actually, it's a vehicle to get to the drug that's inside them chemically. So it's really kind of messed up. But the thing is that if these guys knew the game, they would understand that they are there to provide a certain level of experience. So let's look at, say, like night game. Okay, you're out at a club, you're out at a bar, you're at a dance party, whatever, somebody's, birthday party, bash, who knows what. When you got game for just, say, a night, she is just perceiving you in a certain way, thinking, I can experience the kind of guy that I think I'm experiencing. And what comes with the perceptions are a whole bunch of feelings, right? So she's got these perceptions and beliefs about you, whether they may be true or not true, because you don't really fully know how she's perceiving you. And with that comes a certain level of expectation of what she's going to feel. So, for example, myself, the way I market myself is typically a rugged, masculine guy who is highly sexualized with a bend towards BDSM. That's basically like my image. That's my portrayal. Thankfully, I actually am this way. Like my nails are dirty. Like I rode my motorcycle yesterday. I worked on my bike, cleaned it. I still have motor oil and grease under my fingernails. Sometimes it takes a week or so for that shit to come out. Like no matter how much I scrub it. That's just the way I am, right? Like my the wrinkles in my hands, they're stained from motorcycle shit, right? So, and like I've got fucking tons of BDSM toys. It's my lifestyle. So thankfully, who I and how I present is actually how I am. So when a woman sees me, they're thinking, okay, this guy is going to be kind of like 50 Shades of Grey meets, something more rugged and less professional, right? So she has she casts these perceptions. And so she's expecting a certain emotional experience. And if I'm aware of what she's expecting to perceive, expecting to experience, then it's more easy for me to provide that. Now, see, that's the problem with a lot of guys. They don't know who they are. So they don't know how they're showing up. And therefore, they have no clue whatsoever how they're being perceived. And therefore, they don't know what the woman is expecting to experience. And then they listen to bullshit that says, I'm going to be myself, right? They say, oh, just be yourself. Well, how the fuck are you going to be yourself if you don't know who you are? It's like a business that says, all right, we're registering a business. We got the LLC, we got the DBA, we got the bank account. We're going to set everything up. And they say, well, what are you going to be selling? What service are you going to be providing? And they go, I don't know. But we got the building. But we have no product. We have no marketing. We have no idea what our, what our mission statement is. We don't know what our bylaws are. We don't have a business plan. It's like, that's pretty much the majority of guys that are out here. They're exactly like that kind of business. And they're like, but I want to make money. I want to do something. I want to sell a product, but it's almost like they don't know what, or they're afraid to put something as really defined out there. And they say, well, you know what? We sell these widgets, and these widgets do X, Y, Z. And we would love it if you would buy our widgets. And when you do, it's going to change your life in this way. But they're afraid. They're afraid to kind of just put a stamp out there. So, I love my bodega coffee. But anyways, so when you are able to really solidify who you are and you're comfortable with how you're showing up and not really caring about how you're being perceived, because if you've ever run a business, you know that you're going to satisfy some people. People are going to love what you do, and there's going to be people who are not liking what you do, and there's people who are not going to be interested at all in what you're doing. And you can't focus on trying to be acceptable for everyone. Like there's this old saying out there, like if you try to sell to everyone, you'll sell to no one. So you have to know exactly what your niche is. And that comes first from accepting who you are, knowing who you are. And if you don't know, find out. Figure that out and build it up. I know who I am. I know how I operate. So marketing for me is very easy. And I mean, I don't do it a whole lot because that's just not what my business is about. I'm not about projecting my lifestyle out there so I can get women. I have no interest in doing that. Not that way. I prefer hunting. And again, that's my style. I enjoy putting on my ghillie suit, getting my rifle, and going out into the wilderness, so to speak, and hunting my prey. I like the psychological, emotional act of doing that sort of thing. It keeps me sharp. Versus if I was just some kind of marketing genius or a baller and was able to just project a certain image and then just let the food come to me. Yeah, sure. I mean, that you can do that too. I'm not casting any judgment on how you want to run your game. I'm just saying my game is active. All right. So what does making a window for her? What happens when you engage a woman's mind properly and you're giving her certain stimuli that produce an emotional effect? You are now having her experience herself through you in a way that most guys don't ever do. And that's really important. It's really important to understand because if you take this to heart, you will be doing things that the majority of their inbox isn't doing. Like I was watching this one guy. I can't remember what his fucking name was. I can grab it really quick. It's this dude. The fuck is his name? It was on TikTok. This guy. The fuck is his name? The Mediator. He's on TikTok as the Mediator. He's this really like nerdy white guy, and he's probably read too much about hypergamy and patterns of behavior of women and, the OkCupid statistics and all that nonsense. And all he's doing is blame shifting and saying, well, he was talking to this one girl on his TikTok, and he said he had her do an experiment. So he had her create a man's profile and then try to start conversations. And she realized that it was really difficult to produce meaningful and forward-moving conversations with women on a dating app. And that's because she didn't understand. See, this is the thing. A lot of women don't understand what I'm talking about here. She didn't understand that she needs that emotional variety and that emotional stimulation in order to have a great conversation. So therefore, she wasn't able to provide that for other women. And so she was trying to start these conversations saying, hello, how are you? Thinking to herself, my goodness, this is just plain common courtesy. When someone says hello and introduces themselves, rationally, the other person should say hello and introduce themselves back. And she couldn't wrap her head around the idea that women are just not interested in saying hello. And it blew her mind. She's like, I don't understand this. And the guy there was like, oh, yeah. See, now you understand our plight. How we can't even say hello and no one even says hi back. And they don't understand when you have an inbox, like there's like what on the was it on the Tinder swindler? The lady said she had over 1,000 dudes in her inbox. 1,000. How many? And the vast majority of them, 99.9% of them, are all like, "Hey, how's it going? I saw your profile. I really like this." Blah blah. All surface level stuff. Just skipping the stone across the surface. Nothing that has any sort of. It doesn't hit at all, right? Yeah, Paul Bunyan. Yeah. Thanks, Bernie. But the thing is that that's why a lot of like you can't. And this guy was complaining. He was complaining that no women were saying hello back, and it was getting under his skin, and he didn't understand because he doesn't have the experience of women. He doesn't understand what it's like having an inbox with over 1,000 people in there saying, "Hey, hi, hello, what's up? Hey, beautiful, what's up? Hey, hi, hello," over and over and over. And truth be told, he was like, "Hey, wait a second. There might be some genuine dudes in there that you could really bond with." But here's the thing, sifting through that, imagine of the 1,000, you take, say, 10 of them and thinking to yourself, well, of this 10, there's a chance that one of these guys could actually have something of value to me in terms of like bringing an experience, having me feel a certain way. And but the time that it would take to go through that, through conversation, she would basically spend her entire day on a freaking dating app. I don't know any women who can do that. They don't have the time. So that's why it's important that when you're introducing yourself to a woman, you off the jump give her something to experience, some sort of emotional twist that is off trajectory of all the other dudes that are out there. And again, if I hold another texting workshop, I'll get into the details. I don't want to get into it here, but like of how to actually do that. But a lot of it, just understand, a lot of it comes from making statements. A lot of it comes from making statements, not asking questions. And the statements that you make, they're like one of the greatest statements that I make is I make big assumptions. I make big assumptions about their character and what they're experiencing as a woman, what they're looking for, because I know exactly all the bullshit that they have, and that it's not what they're looking for. So I'm not going to say, I bet you're the kind of lady who's looking for a really great guy who will answer all of your messages and cater to your every whim, right? They're not really looking for that. Even if they say they're looking for that, they're not looking for that. They're looking more for a strong emotional experience. And again, most guys aren't able to produce this. So what does that mean for people who are really interested in this sort of thing? It means, like, of course, I mean, I'm always saying this. It means first knowing who you are. The next thing is knowing how you want to creatively express yourself. Okay? And it's not like you're born with the ability to communicate, right? Even as a baby, you have to learn the basics of communication. I'm hungry. I need a diaper changed. I'm tired, right? And then it gets more and more and more complex based on your needs. And it doesn't stop just because you're a grown adult. Hey, good morning, AM1. So it doesn't stop as you get older. It's not like you're now a grown adult and you can communicate effectively. Yeah, you can for your basic needs, but when it comes to engaging with women, it really has to become a lot more creative than that. And if you don't have any tools built up, to do this, how the hell are you going to create it? It's almost like as if painting was a prerequisite for life. It's like it's something you had to do, like walking, for example. You know what I'm saying? You would actually have to put time into it in order to effectively present yourself on a canvas. You would have to learn certain skills. You'd have to learn about perspective. You'd have to learn about form and shape and negative space and lighting and color, value, form, all of this shit. You'd have to learn all of these different things in order to portray an image that is pleasing to the eye. Right? Instead of doing what, a lot of modern art people do, is they just kind of do whatever the fuck they want to do and then just slap a label on and say, well, it's my expression. It's like, well, is that actually effective though? Do you have to sit here and explain it to people? Right? That's why I don't like modern art. There's too much explaining necessary. With something that has actual skill behind it, like representational art, you can see the fucking skill. They can actually truly represent reality as best as they can on canvas. And you're like, wow, that looks fucking real. I can tell they put in hard work to communicate something to me. And the same thing goes when you're talking to women. You have to learn the structure by which they receive communication. So understanding how they receive, and how they receive is through emotional stimulation. Emotional stimulation. That's why you don't talk about fucking boring shit like philosophies and all that shit. Save that for when you're in a relationship. Okay? I'm not saying don't ever talk about that stuff, but like that like real heady sort of stuff, save that for the relationship. I'm talking like when you're first engaging with a woman. Shit, even if somebody you're not even interested in, it's like sexually, you're at a party or whatever, you're just shooting the shit with some woman. Like even there, she's still looking for some kind of emotional stimulation. And if you don't know how to express yourself, it's going to feel dead. There's going to be no vibe. There's going to be no connection. So it's really important to understand how to express yourself. And again, it goes all the way back. Like if you don't know who you are, you don't know what product you're selling, right? If you don't know its value, how can you set up a marketing program for that? And then an advertising campaign. It's all the same shit. It's all the same shit as business. So you don't know your brand. So how do you make a commercial for it? How do you put music behind it? But again, it's like guys get it all backwards, right? They're like, oh shit, how do I talk to girls? I'm gonna go on YouTube, how to type in how to talk to girls, right? And then learn all this surface level stuff, just like skipping that rock across the surface of the water. And they think, okay, this is suitable. So they sit there like memorize. And then they get into situations, and I mean, just the way chances are, the way life is, randomness and all that shit. Yeah, you know what? You might get some relative success with learning these sort of surface level lines and all that crap. Because I mean, if it didn't work at all, there would be no one talking about it. No one. Okay? So, and frankly, the whole like pickup community, they grew massively on this sort of mentality of just real surface level stuff. See, but when you are able to express yourself honestly, directly, with some creative style that's uniquely you, that then opens up an experience. Because here's the thing. Women really want all of these because they've experienced it here and there. Like a movie will do this for them. A book will do this for them. A song, particular people in their lives. And it will bring out these experiences, this emotional experience that they cannot produce on their own. That's the important key. So they've had tastes of all these different things, and it goes, wow, that was amazing. The highs, the lows, the lefts, the rights, ups and downs, all this stuff. And it's like, it's really stimulating. It's very satisfying. It's rich, right? So they have this, but they can't produce it on their own. That's why it's so impactful when a guy knows how to do this. That's why it's so impactful, because it opens the window inside her, and she can then experience a whole myriad of these different emotions. That's why variety, while you're talking with a woman, be it a day or a week or a few weeks, months, years, whatever, variety has to be a keystone in the architecture of that relationship. Whatever the degree of the relationship, there always must be variety. Always. I think guys are saying, oh, well, I don't want to be a dancing monkey. Well, you will be a dancing monkey if you have the perspective that you're doing it for her. This is key. When a violinist, say, imagine a chair one violinist is out there on stage. Are they really performing for the audience? No, they are performing. They've mastered their craft and they're playing, they're expressing themselves for the sake of expressing themselves. That's the number one thing. The fact that people are there that paid to come see them, right? That's a number two thing. Or at least, or number 3, 4, whatever it is on that person, but it's not number one. The number one reason is I'm here to express myself. And they would still do it if no one was there. They would still do it. That's the important part. So you're not a dancing monkey unless you're in the mindset of needing validation. Then you're a dancing monkey. But if you're constantly providing variety because that's just what you like to do, you like to create, you like to express yourself, then you're going to have interesting dates. You're going to have interesting conversations. You're going to be able to, when she comes in with her own emotional situation, say she's had a terrible day, someone cut her off and clipped the front end of her car, and now there's insurance crap and it's in the garage and all this, that, and the other, but she's physically fine, comes home, or you meet up with her later and she's not in the best mood. So now she's coming in with her own from an outside source, right? This experience brought this emotional situation. You're part of the variety is being able to take that with skill and create a whole new situation, right? And that's listening, listening to the situation, not solving it, right? Because that's what a lot of guys do. They're like, they listen to the problem and they're like, oh, well, I'm a problem solver because I'm a logical man, right? And they say, well, that you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. And yeah, rationally speaking, that's a great way to solve problems. But she's not looking for that. She's looking to feel differently. She feels like shit and doesn't want to feel like shit. So guys are like, oh, let me draw you a bath, right? No, that's not it. You have to create an emotional change. And I guess like if you don't have kids, you would understand this. But anyone who's got kids would understand this, where that you can like quickly and easily divert what they're experiencing emotionally by creating a certain other type of stimuli that almost acts like a distraction. And that distraction shakes their perspective of reality and what they're experiencing, and now they're experiencing something else. Now, you can't do that with a woman who's having a terrible day or whatever, a bad experience, without first listening, because that then shows you're just being dismissive, right? So it's best to acknowledge that situation, acknowledge how she's feeling. Then once it's fully acknowledged, then you create a new experience. That's when you start engaging differently, and then you can bring in your own creativity. So just understand, and I guess I'll wrap it up here. Understand that you guys want to get into relationships and all this shit. It's hard work. The burden of performance is on you. The pace of the relationship is on you. The stage is on you. The creativity is on you. And I hear this time and time again, all these guys, and they're like, Well, women should be bringing other things. They should be bringing stuff to the table. They should have accountability of their own. They should be responsible on their own. Yeah, they should, before they meet you. Once that woman comes into your field of influence, she is now your charge. Her emotional experience is now your responsibility. How she moves in that relationship, that's your responsibility because you are a leader. Leaders accept accountability for everyone who's underneath him. Now, I don't say underneath as though you're better than her. It's just the leader is in the front. When the fucking, the team fails, it's the coach's fault. When the business crumbles, it's the CEO's fault. Right? When the military loses, it's the general's fault. And so when I hear guys saying that, what I hear is, I don't want responsibility. I want someone to come and show up ready, packaged, and ready to go for me. Well, that just says that you don't know who you are. You don't know the things that you actually need. Because no woman is going to come suited for you. No one. You have to lead them. You have to teach them. And of course, part of your vetting and understanding should be, is this person coachable? Did she have a strong masculine man in her life when she was growing up? On a regular basis, like daily. I don't mean like the cool uncle who stopped by once a week. No. Every single day of her life. That's really, really important. Because that will help determine things moving forward. But a lot of these guys, they don't want the burden of performance. They don't want responsibility. Well, guess what? If you don't take that responsibility, you won't get the best of her. She won't get the best of her because I'll tell you what, they don't know about this window. I've had a few women now recently saying, Justin, this is the most feminine I've ever felt in my life. And this isn't coming from masculinized women. This is just regular girls, right? And I've been told, Justin, I haven't felt more feminine in my life than when I've been with you. Because there are parts of them that they don't even know exist. And it opens up a reality of their experience that can only come from a masculine man who understands how to engage them emotionally. So you end up creating this vessel, this strong vessel around them, which allows their chaotic nature, right? Because women are nature. Nature is chaotic, right? Trees don't grow in a straight line. They're all over the fucking place, right? Wind is all over the place. Water flows this way and that way, right? Women are like nature. But when you put a nice container around it, it actually allows it to flow more. And they get to experience themselves as they've never been able to experience themselves before. And then that energy that comes out of them actually flows back into you, which you can take and create a better vessel. So it gets this really, really synergistic experience. It's fantastic when it happens. But it all really starts with you, right? Because it's not a chicken or the egg shit. That's where a lot of these dudes get caught up. They're like, well, if you're like this, then I'll show up like this. And it's no. It starts with you. You have to create the vessel before you pour something into it. You can't say, oh, the glass will materialize if I start pouring. That doesn't fucking make any sense. You get the vessel first, then you pour your coffee in. You don't pour your coffee and then put the cup underneath as fast as you can. Vessel first, all right? You need to know how to hold. You need to know how to contain. And you need to know how to inspire and encourage and enrich, okay? And it comes from being able to provide her a variety of emotional experiences, even the dumb shit. Like, and that's why, like, it's important to check a woman, because check this out. I had this experience like a few weeks ago. It was a little chilly. It's still cold here in New York. This girl's over, and we were just settling down. We had our food and stuff. We were just gonna watch a little movie together, and she's like, "I'm cold." Okay, and I'm like, "Okay," and right, because I'm conditioning her to be direct. I do this with my kids all the time too, where they're like, "I'm hungry." I'm like, "That's nice. Thank you for the statement." Until they understand, "Daddy, may I please have a snack?" Right? So I said, "Oh, that's nice." And then she says, "Justin, will you please give me a blanket?" Right? In like a little pouty voice. And yeah, it's no problem for me. It's like in the next room, no big deal. But I get up and I was sarcastically getting up in a huff and muttering under my breath like Yosemite Sam does when he's like kind of pissed off. I come back with the blanket, sort of like annoyed at the situation. She was getting turned on by the fact that I was a little bit pissed at her for making a request that got me up off the couch when I was comfortable. Isn't that funny? Like you'd be like for us, we're thinking like that's fucked up. We're thinking that is so messed up. Why would I? Because we wouldn't do that. We don't get turned on when a woman's upset at us. She literally was getting wet because I was annoyed with her. Right? So that's just saying, it shows that they're wanting to have a wide variety of these experiences, not just the lovey-dovey stuff, not just the highly sexual stuff or the nasty stuff or whatever. They also want you to be annoyed with them sometimes. They also want to be checked. The feeling that the feeling that comes with being checked for, terrible behavior or unacceptable behavior, it actually has turned women on in my experience. That's also very contextual based, so don't think that's just a blanket statement. But the point is that a wide variety of experiences is necessary. It's like a moth in here or something. But anyways, I'm gonna drop it here. Understand, this game is a skill. It has to be practiced. If you don't do anything, if you just consume, then nothing's going to happen. You have to actually practice. You have to take the violin out and actually play. You have to strike the wrong notes. You have to strike the wrong chords. You have to break some strings before you can actually start playing the basics and fundamentals, learning some songs, and then being able to jam and freestyle and express yourself. It's a process. So get out there, talk to a lot of women, start conversations, get on the apps. Here's a great quick little tip. Get on the apps that allow you to start the conversation. So what would that be? Hinge does that, and Facebook dating. To my knowledge, those two definitely have that option. When you're like liking profiles, whatever, don't just like them. Start a conversation, say something. Okay. And if you don't know what to say, just hit me on the DMs and I will help you out with that. So as a reminder, check through my links, the link in my bio on my IG. There will be links here in the video later on. If you want to learn better about how to do what I'm talking about and have like effective communication, effective arousal, actually going out with women, actually hooking up with them, actually having sex, you can purchase my program. The link is right there. I also have one-on-one coaching for, it goes on for at least 2 months. Or you can do a la carte if you just want, an hour's worth of my time and just do that. All that stuff can be found in the bio on my IG. And, until then, we'll see you next time.